Meanwhile, James battled with his own swirling thoughts, teetering between desire and duty. The glitzy events of his world felt increasingly alien as Mia's art captured hearts beyond their means. One night, beneath towering skyscrapers that sparkled like stars, heartbreak struck. Mia revealed a betrayal, a scathing comment from a friend that shattered her trust in James, echoing with the weight of societal judgment. "How can you even be with her?" they mocked. With a tremor in her voice, she questioned if love could survive the relentless tide of scrutiny. As the city enveloped them in darkness, Mia felt the shadows of doubt creeping closer. James wrestled with gripping fear, the heady mix of love and societal pressure tightening around them like a noose. The vibrant mural behind her loomed as both a beacon of hope and a reminder of cruel reality. Was their love strong enough to withstand the storm? Would they be able to rise above expectations, or would the weight of the world tear them apart for good? The restless city awaited their next move, the heartbeats of two worlds colliding, trembling on the edge of fate. Mia stood frozen, disbelief washing over her like a cold wave. The flickering street lamp cast soft shadows around her, accentuating the fear dancing in her eyes. "What do you mean?" she stammered, the paintbrush dangling from her fingers. James's gaze was intense, but her heart pulled her back to the hurtful words that echoed in her mind. "Mia, I won't let them talk about you like that. You deserve better," James replied, a fierce determination burning in his voice. But it didn't matter. The doubt lingered in the air, tangled with the aromas of pretentious dinners and hollow laughs that had accompanied his world for far too long. She felt trapped in a dialogue she never wanted to be part of. As the night deepened, a sense of resolve enveloped Mia. "Maybe I'm just a street girl," she whispered, more to herself than to him, folding her arms across her chest like a shield against the world. "What's so special about my story anyway? I'm struggling to survive, and that makes me less than them." Tears threatened to spill, but she held them back fiercely. James stepped closer, his heart racing. "No, the way you see the world, the way you bring hope to the city, it's beautiful. You can't let them dictate your worth." He reached out, brushing a speck of paint from her cheek, and their eyes locked, both desperate for connection, but haunted by their separate realities. But in the midst of this emotional upheaval, the shouts of laughter echoed down the street. A group of James's wealthy friends emerged from a nearby bar, their silhouettes exaggerated by the amber glow. They spotted James, their smiles turning into predatory grins. Mia's stomach knotted. This was what she feared most, the looming judgment that haunted her every interaction with his world.
Taking a deep breath, Mia straightened up, forcing a smile as she braced herself for their attention. "We should go," she suggested, the tremor in her voice betraying her mask of confidence. "Mia, I want you to meet them. They need to see who you really are," James insisted, his voice tinged with a mix of optimism and desperation. "Mia, is that you?" one of his friends called out, a sarcastic lilt evident. "What are you doing painting walls? Shouldn't you be cleaning them or something?" The laughter that followed pierced Mia's heart. She felt the very air lift from her lungs. Instead of stepping back, she stood her ground. "I'm creating something beautiful. What do you have to show for yourself?" The words slipped from her lips, raw and unfiltered. James's friends wore expressions that ranged from surprise to indignation. "Whoa, she's got guts," another chimed in, but the condescension lingered just beneath the surface. Mia turned to James, urgent desperation shining in her eyes. "Is this how it's going to be? Every time we step out, they will treat me like a joke?" He cast a glance over at his friends, his heart pounding in a battle between loyalty and love. "No, they're wrong about you, just like they're wrong about me," he declared, the weight of their judgment carrying both hurt and anger. Mia sighed, a deep, tremulous sound, her heart fighting against the yearning for acceptance. In that moment, their bond felt simultaneously unbreakable and fragile. Could love ignite against such harsh realities? As they stood under those glaring streetlights, both feeling the weight of judgment and expectation, they knew a line had been crossed. The laughing facade of wealth was a fragile illusion standing against a world built on authenticity. Suddenly, Mia's phone buzzed, breaking the tension like a fragile glass shattering. It was a notification about her mural gaining recognition on social media, the first glimmer of success she didn't know she needed. "Did you see that?" she gasped, the glimmer of hope igniting a spark within her. "It's going viral. Maybe I can use this to show them I'm more than just a street girl." "But will that be enough?" James asked, hesitant yet hopeful. The battle within him mirrored the conflict outside. Could their love truly rise above this judgment? Mia looked into his eyes, determination flaring anew. "It has to be. I won't let them define me. We're tougher than they think." But even as she spoke those words, a crackle of uncertainty raced through her. What would that mean? What would it cost them both to fight against the tide of expectation? As the neon glow of Brooklyn sparkled like a blanket of stars above them, reality loomed on the horizon, ready to challenge their budding love once again. Would they be able to break the barriers that society thrust upon them, or would the shimmering promise of hope turn to dust beneath their feet?
Mia felt her heart racing, the notification pulsing in her hand like a drumbeat of potential. She could sense the shift in energy around them. The laughter of James's friends turned to whispers of curiosity. "It's really happening," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. James stared at her, a spark igniting in his eyes. "This is your moment, Mia. You can use this to show them who you really are." He reached for her hand, and for a brief second, the chaos around them faded away. The others watched in confusion, their earlier mockery replaced with a kind of apprehensive fascination. Still, doubt crept back in. "But what do I do now? I'm still just me," Mia replied, her smile faltering. "No, you're not just you," James insisted, squeezing her fingers tightly. "You're more than your past, more than what they see in you." In that moment, the weight of their worlds collided. Would she dive headfirst into this recognition, or stay behind the walls she had built? Suddenly, the world felt larger and more daunting than ever. Could she truly shatter the glass that separated them from judgment? A voice broke through her swirling thoughts. "Well, it seems like you're quite the artist now," one of the friends said, his tone shifting from derision to something softer, almost respectful. "I didn't know people like you could whip up something worth looking at." Mia's body tensed. "What do you even know about art?" she shot back, fueled by the fire of her recent vindication. "It's not about class or fortune. It's about passion. Maybe that's something you'll never understand." There was a moment of silence. Even the light breeze felt heavy. James held his breath, sensing the disapproval lingering in the air. But instead of retreating, Mia's pulse quickened. She realized she had an audience who were finally beginning to see her as more than just a stereotype. "I'm not ashamed of where I come from, and neither should you be of what you are," she continued, her voice stronger now. "Every brushstroke on that mural tells a story of struggle, of resilience. You might find it easier to mock me, but let's be real. How many stories do you even have?" Slowly, the group began to shift. They looked uncertain, shifting their weight as if unsure of how to respond. James smiled, admiration swelling in his chest. "See? You don't even need to try to impress them. You're already doing it by just being your authentic self." Mia felt a tiny spark of joy, but it was quickly tossed aside as another friend smirked. "And when did a street girl change the world? Good luck with that." Her heart sank, yet determination surged within her. "Maybe I won't change the world, but I'll definitely defend my right to be heard." The words hung in the air, charged with a raw energy. The group stood, caught between amusement and respect, eyeing Mia like they were trying to solve a puzzle. James, sensing the significance of the moment, turned to the group.
"Are you all ready to be a part of something new? It's time to listen. You might just learn something from her." The unease grew heavier, but the anticipation for change hung palpably. Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. This could be her chance, a path into a new world where she could be recognized for her worth. Yet, a seed of doubt remained, gnawing at the corners of her mind. Will they really listen? She pondered silently, her gaze darting from James to his friends. As the laughter faded, it felt as if the city itself stopped to watch. In a world filled with judgments and expectations, she had taken a stand, a moment that could either secure her independence or shatter her insecurities. What if she could turn the tide? What if she could force them to see who she really was? The adrenaline coursed through her veins, surging toward both excitement and fear. Tension crackled in the air between them as her heart thumped in anticipation of what came next. Would she be brave enough to seize this moment and redefine who she was? The stars above seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see the next step she would take. Would this be the turning point in her life? And as she stood there, ready to confront the darkness with her truth, the glimmer of hope caught once again in her grasp.
But could she hold on tight enough, or would the weight of the world pull her back down? The question lingered like a shadow, ready to unfold in the moments to come. Mia's heart was a wild drum now. She fought to keep her breathing steady as she faced the crowd, their eyes boring into her, gauging, weighing. The silence wrapped around her like a tight cloak, smothering yet invigorating. She had never wanted to stand in the spotlight, but somehow here she was, the sudden center of attention. The boy who had mocked her most shifted nervously, taking a step back, but the heat of the moment didn't let Mia retreat. This was her stage. She clenched her jaw and chose her words carefully. "Art is a language," she started, her voice trembling slightly, but gaining strength with each syllable. A voice for the voiceless. It speaks truth even when the world shuts its ears. Murmurs rippled through the group. Some nodded while others cast uncertain glances at one another. James stood behind her, a sturdy presence, silently urging her on with a supportive gaze. "Every stroke on that wall was a piece of me," she added, feeling the warmth of adrenaline. "My life, my struggles, my victories. Each brush became a tool to rewrite my story. Just because I don't fit your idea of what success looks like doesn't mean I don't deserve to be heard." She could see some of them processing her words. Hesitation swirled around, making room for understanding. "You think you can tear me down with a joke? But jokes don't define me. I define myself. And right now, I'm standing tall." The boy who had smirked before fell silent, his smugness replaced with something softer, perhaps even embarrassed.
A quiet flicker of respect danced behind his eyes, and for Mia, that was enough to push her forward. James stepped closer, his presence an anchor she desperately needed as she continued speaking. "Art is often a reflection of society. If you can't see beyond what's in front of you, you miss out on stories, on lives. So I ask you again, how many stories do you have?" More nods, glances exchanged among her audience. Then came the voice of another friend, a girl with a slight frown. "But it's just different." "Different, yes," Mia replied without missing a beat. "But let's be real. What's normal anyway? It's just a label, and who decides who gets to wear it? All of us have something to say. It's just that not everyone gets to speak. Maybe you'll learn that giving a voice to the unheard can change you too." In that moment, something shifted. The weight of their judgment wasn't as heavy, and shockingly, Mia felt lighter. The shackles of insecurity began to crack, and she breathed deeply, letting the relief simmer. "I want this conversation to be a door," she said, her eyes shining through the uncertainty. "A door to mutual understanding, respect, and the realization that we are all more connected than we know." A few moments passed. James leaned in, his enthusiasm palpable. "You all have a choice right now. You can step forward and be a part of this new vision, or you can linger in the past," he urged, his gaze sweeping over his friends, who still held their breath. The group inched closer, and Mia could feel the collective heartbeat of the crowd, a mix of hesitation and budding curiosity. Could this really be a turning point? Mia stood rooted, her heart racing with hope. But then a voice broke the moment. "So, what happens next?" The tone was serious, questioning. "How do we get involved?" Mia's smile widened, excitement fluttering to life in her chest. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the chance to invite them into her world. As the energy in the air shifted, she felt strong, like the foundation beneath her was finally steady. But the nagging thought kept surfacing. What if this was all too good to be true? As Mia looked into the eyes of her peers, a new question emerged. Are they ready for the truth that lies ahead? The answer hung tantalizingly in the air, as empowering as it was uncertain. Would they step through the doorway of change together, hand in hand? The air crackled with anticipation as her classmates grappled with the idea of stepping into a realm where expressions were unrestricted and vulnerabilities became strengths. Mia could almost feel the pulse of possibility thrumming in her veins. She scanned their faces, searching for signs of openness, of hope dawning in their eyes. Then, slowly and one by one, familiar faces began to brighten. The girl who had first raised her doubts stepped forward, her brow unwrinkling. "I think I'd like to try," she said, her voice soft but confident. It was a hesitant step towards supportive territory. A boy from the corner, who often kept to himself during group projects, nodded vigorously. "Yeah, me too. If we're doing this, let's do it right." His voice was deeper,
laced with a growing courage that ignited something in others. Mia felt a wave of warmth wash over her. Encouraged, she couldn't help but smile wider. That's it! Let's plan a day where we can all come together to share our stories. Not just through speeches, but through art. We can create murals that tell our experiences, our own truths. The crowd murmured excitedly, their uncertainty bubbling into ideas. She noticed eyes sparkling with the thrill of potential. James leaned in and murmured, "You see what you sparked, Mia? You're not just unveiling your art, you're unveiling their voices too." That sentence engulfed her with realization. This wasn't merely about her journey, but about a shared voyage, an unfolding collective narrative. Their stories mingling with hers could paint a fuller picture, one that transcended their individual fears and insecurities. But then it happened. A punch to her chest, swift and unexpected. In the same breath that delivered inspiration, a shadow flickered across her gut. What if they share stories that are painful? The thought scratched its way through her mind, insistent and biting. Could she handle that weight? What are the boundaries? She wondered aloud, clasping her hands tightly together as if to contain the anxiety. We need to feel safe while sharing, to foster an atmosphere of trust. The boy who had retreated earlier, now stepping out from behind the crowd, spoke up. What if we set rules? What if we agree to be supportive, to listen without judgment? It was a simple suggestion, but powerful, weaving threads of hope through the fabric of the discussion. Mia nodded, relief flooding through her. Yes, that way we can create an environment where everyone can express themselves freely without fear. She glanced around the group, witnessing the emergence of camaraderie, and it surged within her. She felt like they were finally becoming a team. They spent the next hour brainstorming and weaving their ideas into a tapestry of excitement. Each contribution felt like another stroke of paint on a canvas, embedding color and layers into their shared narrative. Laughter punctuated the conversation, enlivening the air. As they closed their first meeting, a sense of unity blanketed the group like a warm glow. Mia took a deep breath, a newfound optimism coursing through her. But at the tip of her mind lingered a question that chased away some of that lightness. How would they handle the darker stories? Are we really ready for all the truths each of us holds? She thought, glancing at James, who caught her gaze and raised an eyebrow.
His expression conveyed understanding, but it also hinted at uncertainty. Yes, they were building bridges, but what if one day they crumbled? Mia's heart raced once more, filled with both excitement and trepidation. Stepping through a doorway invited light and warmth, but shadows flickered close behind. And as the last remnants of sunlight kissed the horizon, she whispered to herself, "Let's hope we're ready." With a final glance at her classmates, she knew they were on the verge of something significant. The next chapter awaited, but would it be one of growth or unraveling? That question loomed as she walked out, fingers still trembling from the adrenaline of the moment. The next morning dawned hazy and pale. Mia awoke with a knot of anticipation twisting in her stomach. The excitement from the previous day still buzzed in her veins, but it was now mingled with nerves. She rolled out of bed and rushed through her morning routine, her mind racing as she thought of the mural project. What if they all didn't show up? What if they were too scared to share their truths? Flashes of doubt whispered in her mind. However, with every shaky breath, she reminded herself how important this was. This was about breaking barriers, about creating a safe haven where vulnerability was not only accepted, but celebrated. The school hallways felt different that day, charged. Students walked with a little more pep in their step, as if they had all become part of something bigger. I spotted several classmates gathering in a circle, their faces lit with eagerness. As she approached, laughter floated in the air, brightening her spirits a bit. "Hey, Mia," called the girl who had stepped forward in the meeting. "We were just talking about the mural. I have a few ideas for images that represent our stories. Do you want to join?" A smile tugged at Mia's lips as she joined them, flowing into the conversation like a long-lost rhythm. Ideas bounced around with zest, colors and textures painting the collective visions they were sculpting together. But then, as the energy swelled, a shadow dipped over Mia's heart. What about the heavier stories? She pondered. Would everyone be comfortable enough to share the depths of their experiences? Just then, James sidled up next to her. "You look worried." His voice was low, almost conspiratorial. "It's just, what if we open up wounds?" Mia replied in a hushed tone. "Are we really ready for all the truths? What if it becomes too much?" James's brow furrowed. "Maybe it will,
and maybe it won't. But that's part of the process, right? If we can support each other, even the painful stories can create beauty. Trust has to be the foundation. Mia nodded, his words infusing a sense of resilience in her. But still, anxiety lingered like a stray note in a symphony. "Okay, everyone, listen up," called the boy who had offered his idea during the last meeting. "We should figure out our schedule for the mural."
I was thinking we could work on it every Friday after school. What do y'all think? A chorus of agreements erupted, the reply echoing through the hallway. Mia felt a rush of warmth envelop her. Coming together as a team felt right. She wondered how many stories lived among these classmates, stories that could either shatter or unify them. As lunch began, they gathered around a long table decorated with doodles of bright colors and laughter. It was a beautiful scene, but behind those smiles, Mia caught glimpses of nervous edges. She could see the unspoken questions lingering in the air, a veil hiding the deeper feelings they all kept buried. "Okay, let's throw it out there. What's one thing we think could be hardest to share?" Mia asked, her voice encouraged by the camaraderie surrounding her. The table fell silent, eyes drifting, uncertainty hanging on everyone's expressions. Finally, a boy with spiky hair spoke softly. "For me, it's my family. Things haven't been great at home, and my dad, he's struggling." A collective sigh swept through the group, empathy weaving an invisible bond among them. It stung, this raw moment of honesty, yet it felt electric. "What if we all shared one line of our story?" another girl suggested, "a line that expresses our truth." The tension broke. Laughter turned into a ripple of camaraderie, and hands reached across the table. Here was hope, hope tangled in the gathering threads of their stories. But as the laughter faded, Mia felt the weight of realization settle down on her shoulders. There would be darker truths. What if someone's truth was too difficult? Would they crumble under their own narratives? The looming question settled heavily in the air. Would everyone truly come together, or would vulnerability splinter that unity? Mia's heart pounded with anticipation and fear. She knew they were on the edge of something transformative, but would they plunge into the depths of vulnerability together? As lunch sadly drew to a close, she took a breath, a mix of hope and trepidation filling her. The next chapter had begun, but just what kind of journey would it lead them on? The bell rang, slicing through the chatter of lunch, pulling Mia back to reality. The vibrant energy from their earlier discussions still hummed in her veins, but the weight of unspoken fears clung like dampness in the air. As she walked to her next class, her thoughts spiraled. Each step echoed the questions she hadn't dared to voice. Would they be brave enough to share the rawest parts of themselves? Her English class felt especially daunting that day. Mr. Collins was the kind of teacher who thrived on open dialogue, encouraging students to express their feelings. As they settled into their seats, Mia caught James's eye. He offered her a reassuring smile, one that seemed to say, "We've got this." "Okay, everyone," Mr. Collins started, his voice warm and inviting.
Today, we're exploring themes of identity and connection through storytelling. I want each of you to think of an experience that has shaped who you are. A ripple of murmurs filled the room. Mia's heart raced. She wondered if anyone else felt the same tightness in their chests. Would they be able to balance their own narratives while keeping a watchful eye on the emotional landscape of the group? One girl from the back stood up, her hands trembling slightly. "I think I can share," she said, her voice faltering. "I've always felt like I don't belong anywhere, like I'm just invisible." The room fell silent, focused on her. Mia felt a sense of honor to witness this moment. The girl continued, her story weaving its way through familiarity and pain. It was a truth that many knew, even if they hadn't voiced it aloud. Encouraged by her classmates' gentle nods, she went on, revealing the depths of her struggles. With each word, the bond between them deepened, raw emotion pulsing like a heartbeat in the classroom. When she finished, a wave of applause erupted, the audience's admiration tangible. Mia couldn't help but think back to their mural project. Finding courage within their collective vulnerability surely would be the foundation of their art. James raised his hand, his voice steady. "If it's okay, I'd like to share as well," he said. "I hit a rough patch last year. I got in with the wrong crowd and it nearly cost me everything. I realized I had to fight for my future, for my family." His honesty struck a chord, resonating through the room like a soft bell. The students listened intently, each one connected through their silent understanding of struggle. After several more stories were shared, Mia felt buoyed by this newfound sense of community. Perhaps they could navigate the heaviness together, forming a web of strength to support each other. The darkness might be daunting, but it could also be where their stories found empowerment. As the class came to an end, Mia's heart was full, but the shadows still whispered. Would everyone truly embrace the depths of their experiences? What if someone's pain became too much to bear? The questions burdened her, yet a spark of determination ignited within. This mural project wasn't just about paint and design, it was about voicing their truths in a raw, beautiful celebration of life. Later that day, Mia found herself sitting on her bed, sketchbook perched on her lap. Her thoughts turned to the mural's design. She began to outline ideas, letting the ink flow like their stories had that day. Suddenly her phone buzzed. It was a group message with the mural team. Hey everyone, let's meet after school tomorrow. I think we should start discussing how we can incorporate our stories into the mural. Excitement surged through her. This was it, the moment they would begin to share their ideas in a tangible way. But beneath that excitement was a thread of apprehension.
What if sharing their interpretations of those stories brought new challenges? Mia took a deep breath, pen poised, heart pounding. What stories will come alive on that wall, she wondered. And would they be ready to face the shadows that lingered within those truths? The night stretched on, filled with whispers of inspiration and threads of anxiety. Tomorrow would be a defining moment. Would they be brave enough to weave their realities into something shared? Mia lay awake, her mind racing. What awaited them at the meeting? Behind every story was potential for unity or division. The path ahead gleamed uncertainly in her imagination. Would they discover strength and vulnerability, or would fear fracture their connections? She needed to know. The next day, the sun filtered softly through the fog, casting a golden hue over the school grounds. Mia felt the weight of anticipation pressing down on her as she walked toward the art room. Each step brought her closer to the gathering that could either solidify their bond or crack it open to reveal the hidden fractures beneath. The door swung open with a creak, and Mia stepped inside. The room buzzed with chatter, laughter, and the occasional nervous chuckle as her classmates banked their supplies on the long tables. A colorful collage of art supplies surrounded them, promising creation and also uncertainty. "Hey, Mia!" James called, waving her over. She noticed that his face sparkled with excitement mixed with a hint of apprehension. "Are you ready for this?" Mia nodded, her stomach fluttering anxiously. "I think so, but part of me wonders if we're even ready to share our stories." As more students arrived, the energy shifted, an undercurrent of seriousness settling over the group. Mr. Collins entered with his trademark enthusiasm. "All right, everyone, I'm thrilled to see the excitement in the room. Today we're diving into collaboration, mixing our stories into your mural. But first, let's start with some icebreakers." Mia breathed deeply, relieved for the diversion. The icebreakers lightened the atmosphere, prompting laughter that reverberated off the walls like warmth. But even as they giggled, the air buzzed with unvoiced fears, stories that lingered just beneath the surface. After the activities, Mr. Collins gathered them in a circle. "I want you all to think about how to express your experiences visually. It could be a symbol, a color palette, or a particular scene." He glanced around, gauging their nerves. "You don't need to share the details of your stories, just the essence. Let your art speak." Mia's heart raced. She understood deep down that this was the moment they were waiting for, yet doubt lingered like a shadow. She shared a glance with James, and they nodded in silent understanding. It was time to be brave. One by one, students began to speak. A girl with vibrant blue hair explained how the ocean represented freedom for her, echoing her struggles to break away from expectation. Another girl shared how a single flower could embody resilience, telling of her journey battling self-doubt and finding hope. Mia's heart swelled as the stories began to intertwine like the threads of a tapestry. They were opening up, pouring their souls into a collaborative effort. Then it was Mia's turn. "I've been thinking about how colors blend," she started, her voice wavering slightly. "How they create new shades. I want our mural to reflect how each of our stories adds depth to the whole picture. It's not just about one experience. It's about how we come together." A wave of empathy washed over the group, and Mia realized she was speaking not just for herself, but for everyone in that circle. She could see it in their faces. They were all feeling the weight of this shared moment. As the brainstorming continued, the conversation began to tumble into heavier territory. A boy named Alex, his fingers stained with paint, nervously broke the flow.
what if someone's story is too dark? What if it brings us down instead of lifting us up? The room fell silent, the fear hanging thick. His question lingered, leaving a tangible tension behind. They were sailing into uncharted waters, and it was terrifying. How could they support one another with stories of pain, fears that lived in shadows? James spoke up calmly. I think that's what we need to tackle first. If we share the tough parts, we might find that we're not alone in those feelings. The group held its breath, nodding slowly, processing the challenge before them. Mia felt the pulse of connection stronger than ever, but the doubt began to sneak back in. It was one thing to create art, another to dive into the depths of their vulnerabilities. The discussion grew louder, voices lifted with passion, purpose, and uncertainty. Will they find the strength to embrace their darkness together, or would the weight of their stories become too heavy to carry? Mia's heart thumped in her chest. She needed to know how they would move forward. What shadows persisted in their stories that they hadn't yet grasped? Tomorrow will reveal it. The day had dawned brightly, but inside the art room, an undercurrent of tension whipped through the thrumming air. The students shuffled nervously in their seats, exchanging glances filled with unspoken fears and hopes. Mia felt the heaviness of their collective anxiety settle over her like a fog. Mr. Collins buzzed with enthusiasm. All right, I want you all to partner up. Share your thoughts about your stories and what you might want to include in the mural. His voice was steady, but even he seemed aware of the weight hanging in the air. Mia turned to James, his brow knit in concentration. Do you think we can handle everyone's darkness? He whispered, his voice barely above the sound of tapping paintbrushes. I hope so, Mia replied, the knot in her stomach tightening. But it's scary, isn't it? What if it's too much?
James nodded, the gravity of their task stealing his usual cheer. They watched as students paired off, some animatedly discussing their ideas, while others sat quietly, their minds racing. Plucking up her courage, Mia turned to a quieter boy named Sam, hoping to draw him out. Hey, what do you think? She said softly. He looked at her, wide-eyed, as if unsure whether he should share. It's okay. I'm thinking about how dark clouds remind me of depression and how you need rain for flowers to grow. Sam's expression softened as he spoke. That's really deep, Mia said with a small smile. It shows that beauty can come from something heavy. Encouraged, Sam opened up, telling her about his experiences with anxiety, how it felt like a thick fog that would lift unexpectedly, leaving him feeling vulnerable. With each word, Mia felt herself dig deeper into the well of emotions they had all been tiptoeing around. As he spoke, Mia gestured toward the mural's blank canvas, her hands flowing with the rhythm of their conversation. If our stories are the rain, we can paint it with colors that bleed into one another. Let's show how they blend and create something beautiful together. Sam seemed to spark at the idea. Maybe we could use dark blues and purples to show the clouds, but there can be yellows and greens peeking through that symbolize hope. Their imaginations flowed freely, converting bottled-up emotions into vibrant images. Soon giggles erupted from another pair across the room. Chloe was using her sketches to illustrate how her love of dance helped her navigate through tough times. The room pulsed with slowly surging inspiration, a shared effort to embrace vulnerability. Then Mia sensed the shift. It was like a light had been flicked on. As students began to share their burdens, the walls seemed to breathe with compassion. Soon laughter mixed with tears, and students showed bravery with their truths, drawing closer together. But then it happened again, the tension. It surfaced when Alex stood up, his voice cracking. I didn't want to bring this up, but what if someone feels too lost? What if they can't find the light? The atmosphere thickened once more. This was a crossroads, a moment that would define their journey together. Mia watched as James exchanged a glance with the others. They were holding their breaths, as unsure as she was. Would they retreat into fear? What if... She began, her voice tinged with determination. What if this mural becomes a testament, a reminder that even in darkness we can create something beautiful together? Everyone shifted forward, leaning into her words. They hung there, waiting for something to break, perhaps a revelation that would unite them. Can we try? Mia swallowed, rallying the room. Can we share and create without judgment? This is our chance to find connection in our struggles.
As murmurs of agreement rippled around the room, Mia felt the excitement build, a charge of energy buzzing through everyone. They could do this together. But it also ignited something else, a flicker of fear. Could they really juggle their serious revelations alongside the beauty they wished to create? Mia's heart began to pound again, anticipation and dread mingling. Would past pain emerge like a tide, washing away this feeling of unity they had just felt? What barriers would they still need to break down? Tomorrow loomed on the horizon, and she could almost taste the uncertainty. Would they have the strength to face those shadows together? The sun peeked through the curtains, illuminating Mia's room with a bright glow. Her heart raced as she prepared for the day. Today was the first mural session, an opportunity to bring their collective stories to life. But along with excitement, a knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. As she walked to school, her mind buzzed, replaying the previous day's discussions. What if someone had a story too painful to share? What if their walls came crumbling down and they couldn't handle it? When Mia arrived, the air was charged with energy. Students buzzed around the art room, chatting animatedly, gathering their supplies in tight clusters. James was already there, his expression a mixture of eagerness and concern. He met her eye and smiled. It felt reassuring, a reminder they were in this together. "Are you ready?" he asked, leaning in close. "I think so, but I'm nervous," she admitted, and he nodded, understanding mirrored in his eyes. Mr. Collins gathered everyone and clapped his hands to gather attention. "All right, team, today we're going to dive into our creativity. Remember, this mural isn't just art, it's representation, it's healing, it's a bridge connecting our stories." The students nodded, murmuring affirmations, but Mia saw a flicker of apprehension on a few faces. Students formed small groups, each taking a blank canvas to ponder their designs. Mia paired up with Sam, who had spoken so bravely yesterday. "So what should we focus on first?" she asked, sensing his uncertainty. "Maybe we should start with the dark clouds idea," Sam replied, his brows furrowed. "Right," Mia said, her heart pounding. "But we need to remember there's light too. It might be a good idea to use the dark colors in a way that still feels hopeful." As she sketched their concept, a swell of confidence bloomed within her. The colors ignited with life, deep blues to represent struggles and radiant yellows for hope. They worked side by side, more cohesive than she had ever imagined. Across the room, laughter broke out as stories unfolded. Chloe's group shared stories of challenge and growth, transforming their experiences into vibrant representations of dance and resilience. Each brushstroke revealed their emotions, the fears and breakthroughs all mixing together.
As the morning wore on, Mia found herself buzzing with excitement. Yet shadows of anxiety still loomed in the corners of her mind. What if someone broke down in tears, unable to continue? Just then, someone's voice rose above the chatter. It was Alex, standing in front of a gaping canvas. "I want to paint the darkest part of my story, the moment when I felt completely lost and alone," he said, his voice shaky, yet unyielding. Mia felt her heart catch. This was the moment. She exchanged a quick glance with James, knowing they must rally together, reminding everyone of the promise they made to support one another. "Alex, that's a brave choice," Mia said, stepping forward. "Could we help you visualize that? We can add lighter shades around it to show how you found your way back." The room hushed, eyes trained on Alex, who hesitated. But encouragement flowed from the others. "We've got your back," Sam added. A glimmer of relief flashed in Alex's eyes. "Yeah, that makes sense," he replied, exchanging shy smiles with his classmates as they pulled together to transform darkness into a canvas of resilience. As the brushstrokes danced across their mural, an unexpected wave of healing swept over them. Each color released fears and anxieties, and somehow, amidst the heavy truths, laughter emerged. Moments later, laughter erupted. Chloe spun her paintbrush and accidentally flicked paint into Sam's hair, leading to a playful chase around the room. Laughter mingled with the hum of creativity, lightening the ambiance. Mia seized the moment, soaking in the joy. Courage grew in the camaraderie, and she realized that the darkness they faced together was just one side of the story. Emerging from it made their bond stronger. The mural transformed into a tapestry of shared experiences, entwining joy and struggle in one fluid stroke. As the session ended, Mia surveyed the walls embellished with their creations, the stories taking shape against the canvas, each one rippling with connections and reflecting shades of hope.
The shadows didn't vanish, but instead they illuminated pathways to understanding and empathy. The festooned walls of creativity mirrored their journey, a reflection of their lives entwined. They had painted their hearts out, transforming vulnerability into a vibrant anthem for authenticity. As Mia picked up her things, she felt renewed. Their mural wasn't just a project. It became a living testament that not only embraced their stories, but also forged a powerful sense of community. After the last of the brushes were rinsed and the supplies put away, Mia took a deep breath, relishing in the warmth of their growing bond. "Tomorrow we can add more layers," James exclaimed, misplaced paint still adorning his cheek. "Let's incorporate everyone's feedback. It will only get better from here." Mia smiled, her heart dancing with hope. The mural would evolve, just like their collective journey. They were ready to embrace the truth of their stories, shadows and all. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and revelations. But today was a triumph, a step toward unity, creativity, and self-acceptance. Mia knew that together they could confront the shadows and emerge into the light. The potential for change glimmered before them, practically palpable. They had the power to redefine not just their artwork, but how they viewed themselves and each other. Emboldened by their progress, she whispered to herself, "We're ready." As they walked out of the art room, the future seemed bright. Together, they would create a masterpiece colored in the hues of hope and resilience. They were no longer just a collection of individuals. They were a family, a community, creating waves of change through the tapestry of their lives. Now, it's your turn to be part of this incredible journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that can inspire your own transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show support for the stories that resonate with you. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. We want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans stand together to uplift each other.